Congressman Kevin Kiley is here of California. He sits on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thank you for joining us. The president laid that out. Do you think California is corrupt?
Oh, absolutely. California is the fraud and corruption capital of the United States. Gavin Newsom has a track record of allowing fraud, of engaging in corruption in a way that has absolutely caused our state to spiral downhill throughout the last 7 years with him as governor. So much so that for 6 straight years now, California has led the nation in outbound U-Haul rentals each and every year. And if you look at the scale of fraud that we have in California, just looking at the unemployment fraud alone, that was $32 billion during COVID because the state auditor found that Newsom ignored repeated warnings and essentially let organized criminal syndicates have their way and then use those purloined funds for further criminal activity. Or if you look at community college applications, a third of community college applications in California are fake. They're just used to commit financial aid fraud. We had $24 billion that was spent on homelessness. The state auditor found they lost track of the money and homelessness got a lot worse. So I could go on and on and on. Everywhere you look in California, fraud is absolutely raw. Fraud is absolutely rife.
Well, it's typically a conversation, like this. You and I having a conversation, and it doesn't really go anywhere. But now it appears that there will be moves made by this administration to address allegations of fraud in each state, which is a good thing. Governor Gavin Newsom, though, seemingly welcoming the investigation. Here's that.
Bring it on. Fraud in terms of child care. Hey, you think for a second anyone countenances fraud? So if he has some unique insight and information, I look forward to partnering with him. Can't stand fraud, can't stand waste and abuse.
So many in Minnesota, going back to that, believe that Governor Tim Walz knew about the fraud ongoing in his state, which caused him to not seek re-election for race for governor, though not stepping down at this moment. So tying this to California, do you believe it's the same case for Governor Newsom and allegations of fraud in his state?
Absolutely. Fraud has marked the end of Tim Walz's political career. It should also be the end of Gavin Newsom's, because the scale of what has occurred in California is unlike anywhere else. And the governor says, bring it on. Well, every time we have had an investigation into fraud in California, the results have been absolutely incredible in terms of both the scale of the fraud and the negligence of Newsom in allowing it. I mentioned the $24 billion in homelessness spending, where the auditor found that they lost track of the money, and now there have been individuals indicted for committing fraud in connection with those homelessness funds. There was just another audit that came out 2 weeks ago that found that the number of high-risk agencies that have serious risk of waste, fraud, abuse, or mismanagement has doubled during Newsom's tenure, that we're losing billions still in unemployment fraud, in fraud related to SNAP benefits and Medi-Cal determinations, and a whole host of other areas. The state auditor found the $32 billion in unemployment fraud back during COVID. So every time this has been looked into, we've just found out the problem is even worse than we thought before. So Newsom better be careful what he wishes for. He certainly has done nothing to control fraud. And everywhere you look here, I think you're going to find things that absolutely shock the conscience.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.